welcome to Youth Night Live. My name is Josh and I will be your host. So glad that you have joined us tonight. This is a real live show, so I would love to see your comments, your shout outs, your name drops, whatever it is in the comment section. I will be reading those off later on in tonight's show. So make sure you show our comment section a little bit of love and throw something in there. We have a great night tonight. We have two awesome guests. We have a brand new series, but we're going to start off with a little giveaway. So here, sports has been a bit of a dry spell, but the NBA Finals are currently happening. So here's what we're going to do. I want you in the comment section to put who you think is going to win the NBA Finals. So here's the thing. If you have like an educated guess and you really think you know what it is, it's going to be the Lakers, is it going to be the Blazers, whatever it is, put that in the chat. If you really don't know what's going on in the NBA right now, just throw in a random NBA team. If you really don't know what the NBA teams are, just make one up. It'll be hilarious. So we will, at random, draw one of you who comments any NBA team in the chat to win a gift card at the end of our show tonight. But as we get started, I want to give you a little studio tour and introduce you to tonight's guests. So our first guest for tonight is Ellie. Ellie, give the audience a little bit of love. And our next guest tonight is Madison. Hey, Madison. We have a little tech crew behind the scenes. If you want to go to our studio cam, you can kind of see this is what it looks like. We are in a dark room with lots of lights and wires and stands and screens, and we are having a blast here. So, thank you for joining in. We're just going to jump right into a game. And this is a game with our two guests, Ellie and Madison. This game is called Taylor Swift or Revelation. Here is how it works. We are going to put a song lyric, we're going to put a phrase on the screen. It could either be a song lyric from Taylor Swift's new album, or it could be a verse from the book of Revelation. Now, it sounds like it'd be really easy to know if it's like from the Bible or Taylor Swift. Not too easy. You can play along at home or even play along in the chat. Before we get started, I want to know, of our two guests, have either of you listened to Taylor Swift's new album? Ladies?
No.
No? I actually listened to like 2 or 3 songs. It's an album. It's kind of like you're cold in the woods. That's what I would say. Like if a album had a feeling, it's like being cold in the woods. But okay, so this game is called Taylor Swift or Revelation. Like I said, it's either a Taylor Swift lyric or it is a verse from the book of Revelation that's maybe a little bit a paraphrase. Not like a totally direct quote, but something paraphrased. So let's get started. Here's the first one. But you walked away from your first love. Why? Let's go to Ellie for this first one. What do you think it is?
Probably Taylor Swift.
All right, she says Taylor Swift. The correct answer is... it's Revelation. Revelation 2:4. That's right. This is Jesus talking to the churches. That's right. Okay, our next question is... marked me like a bloodstain. This one is going to Madison. Is that Taylor Swift or Revelation?
I'm going to go with Taylor Swift on this one as well.
She's going with Taylor Swift. And the answer is Taylor Swift Cardigan. Congratulations. Good job. Next question. They've gotten what they deserve. Ellie, this one's back to you. What do you think?
I think I'm gonna just go with Taylor Swift again.
She's going with Taylor Swift again. And you're wrong. I'm sorry. That is another passage from the book of Revelation 16:6. Ellie, do you own a Bible? I'm just kidding. This is a really hard game. You're doing great. Here's the next quote. I know all the things you do, and that you have reputation for being alive. Madison, Taylor Swift or Revelation?
Feeling Revelation on this one, Josh.
She's feeling Revelation, and she's correct. Revelation 3:2. All right. You guys are, Madison, that's 2 for 2. Great job there. Next. You didn't even see the signs. You didn't even see the signs. Ellie, back to you.
Oh no. I feel like it's just something Taylor Swift would say. So I'm just gonna go Taylor Swift again.
All right, is that something Taylor Swift would say? It is from the song Exile. All right, you are on the board. That is a very Taylor Swifty thing to say. So, okay, here's the next question. It was sweet as honey in my mouth. Madison, Taylor Swift or Revelation?
I think it's Revelation again, Josh.
All right, she's going Revelation. And you are correct! Undefeated so far in the game. Revelation 10:10. That means, Ellie, we're going back to you. And your quote is, I know they said the end is near.
I'll just switch it up and go with Revelations.
She's going to switch it up and go with Revelations. Actually, that one was Taylor Swift from the song Mirror Ball. All right. Okay, Madison, your quote is, a glass sea mixed with fire. Taylor Swift or Revelation? To me, this one could go absolutely either way.
I think it's Taylor Swift on this one.
Okay, she's going Taylor Swift. No, it is the book of Revelation 15:2. All right, back to Ellie. Your quote is, hell was the journey, but it brought me to heaven.
I'm just gonna go with Taylor Swift.
Of course it is. With lyrics like that, come on. Yes, it is Taylor Swift, The Invisible String. Could there be a more pretentious song title or lyrics? I don't think so. Okay. We are going back to Madison for our next quote, which is, I am queen on my throne.
Could only be Taylor Swift, Josh. Only Taylor Swift.
It could be Taylor Swift? Are you sure? Because you're wrong! It is the book of Revelation. You know, at this point, are we sure that Taylor Swift isn't just like really into the book of Revelation for all of her songs? Okay, back to Ellie. Your quote is, the happy voices of brides and grooms will never be heard in you again.
Oh dear. You know what? I'm just going with Taylor Swift.
She's going with Taylor Swift. That one, again, was Revelation. These are tough. These are really difficult. Okay, Next one, we're going back to Madison. I knew you'd come back to me.
I think it's Revelation.
Think it's Revelation. Well, this one is Taylor Swift, again from Cardigan. All right, Ellie, you are up. Your quote is, "My kingdom come undone." You have a little Kingdom Come Bible in there, but you don't know.
Yeah, it could go either way. I don't know. I'll just go with Revelation.
It is, in fact, Taylor Swift from the song Hoax. That is all of our quotes from Taylor Swift or Revelation. Great job, ladies. You both did fantastic. Madison, you beat out Ellie on that one, so congratulations on the dub. It is now time for some announcements. Let's hit the intro. Once again, welcome to Youth Night Live. My name is Josh. I will be your host for tonight. And first things first, this is an actual live show, so I would love for you guys to comment throughout the night, throw in some shout outs. Earlier at the very beginning of our show, I asked you to comment who is going to win the NBA Finals, and we're going to pick one of those names at random for a gift card. If you are just now tuning in, same thing, put a NBA team in the comments that you think is going to win the NBA Finals, whether it is a team you actually think is going to win, just some team you heard of, or just a team you made up. So far tonight, we have Camden saying the Blazers in 7. I like that one. We have Michael saying the Blazers in 7. We have Sadie saying the Red City Tree Trunkers. I like that team. That's a good one. So comment who you think is going to win the NBA Finals. We have Peyton and Eli saying the Lakers. Boo. But hey, you're entitled to your opinion. Griffin thinks the Beavers are going to become an NBA team and win the finals. And a couple more for Cedar also says the Lakers. So throw something in the chat for me to read later on in the show. You are on YouTube right now, so you know I'm going to ask you to subscribe to our channel. That way you stay up to date on all of the content coming up. Right now, we really just have Youth Night Live on Sunday nights at 7. But as we head into September and beyond, we are working on some more weekly content and live shows we cannot wait for you guys to see. And so make sure you stay subscribed to our channel so that you see all of that as it comes. Make sure that you follow us on social. We have accounts for our high school group, The Annex, and our middle school group, The Tribe. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us all around, either at The Annex GCF or at GCF Middle. This is our main announcement. For the night, we need your help to make Youth Night Live happen. So there is a whole lot that goes into each and every single week. There are people in front of the camera. There are people behind the camera. There are people who are doing prep work and creating things during the week. So here are a couple of the ways that we need your help. Maybe you play an instrument and you would like to be in the band. Maybe you like the beep beeps, the bloop bloops, and you want to be on our tech crew, pushing the buttons, working the cameras and the lights. Maybe you just love being in front of the camera, like me, and you want to be a guest on the show or even a host of the show. Maybe you love making TikToks, maybe you love YouTube, creating videos, and you want to be a content creator, compiling videos, making videos, putting stuff together during the week for our show. Help make Youth Night Live happen by signing up to be a part of the team. So in the description of this video, you're going to see a whole lot of links, and the top one is a link to help out. Now, go ahead and click on that, and you'll have about a 5-second form to fill out so that you can let us know, hey, I love to help with this, help with that, just to get more information. You're not committing yourself to anything, but as we head into September, we want to add some people to our already awesome team. So, go ahead, I even give you permission to click on that link, to click out of this video for like 10 seconds, and then to click back in if you are interested in any of those positions, or just come back after this video and click on that link. We are looking for people to join in the band, looking for more people to help out with tech. Every week we need guests on the show, and if you want to be a guest, we will put your name on the list. Be a content creator, a host, a lot of different ways that you can help out. So we would love to have you on the Youth Night Live team. Just fill out that form and we will get you some more information. Some of the other links that you're going to find in that description box is if you are new around here and you want to get connected, get a little swag gift in the mail, or if you have a prayer request, we would love to pray for you. We know this is a season in life where there is a lot going on, and maybe there's something that is heavy on your heart. And the Annex and the tribe leaders would love to pray for you. So we have a super quick form that you can fill out. Let us know what's going on in your life, and we will be praying with and for you this week. So those are our announcements for the week. Now, we have a brand new segment to Youth Night Live coming up called Good News with Intern Callie. Here's the thing. I know that the month of August and the month of July have been non-stop bad news, right? School is online, sports are canceled, everything fun is canceled. It can seem like we are in a time where all news is bad news. But here's the thing. There is still a lot of good happening in our world. So we went out and looked for some good news stories to share with you and put them together. So check this out.
Hey guys, it's Callie. Hope everyone's doing good. It's been a while since I've seen you. Honestly though, with everything going on, I think it's just a great time to throw some good news in there for you guys. So I have a couple stories for you. Both my stories for you guys are going to be from Good News Network, and the first story actually reports that there have been a record number of elephants born in Kenya due to the rainfall, and they're actually calling it an elephant baby boom, and this is especially important due to the high levels of poaching that they experience and just constant harm to the elephants. So the rainfall has allowed for a lot of the mothers to be able to have their calves. My second story for you guys involves animals that like to stay in places just a little bit cooler. Good News Network actually reports that satellites have found 20% more colonies of emperor penguins than previously thought. And that adds 11 new colonies, raising it to 61 across the globe. I hope a little bit of good news goes a long way for you guys. I know that it can be super hard right now. It's even hard for me sometimes, but just, keep looking to God, keep asking, keep praying, and he will answer. And I hope that some animal stories help you guys.
All right, it is time for some shout outs. I'm reading the comments right now. Hey, shout out to my wife, Marcy, who just commented. Shout out to Peyton, who gave Callie a shout out. That was like a shout out of the shout out. Shout out to Cedar, who is spamming the chat. Shout out to Cohen, who thinks the Raptors are going to win. And shout out to my boy Camden for thanking me for his shout out. You are welcome for giving you the shout out. And shout out to my boy Eli for just being cool and liking the video. So, okay, again, thank you guys for tuning in. We are going to be heading into the message for tonight. So, we are starting a brand new series called Like Me, where we are talking about comparison. And we know that comparison, whether we want to admit it or not, is something that we all deal and struggle with. So, our good friend Steve Plett has giving the first message in this series. And as we head into the message, we are going to have Madison pray for our time together and then head into the message. So, Madison, why don't you take it away with prayer?
Hi, everyone. Please bow your head and pray with me. Awesome God, we pray that you just give Steve the right words to communicate what you need us to know during these rough times, and that we are all able and capable to listen and listen to your truth during these hard times. We ask for patience and comprehension during these lessons, and we pray these things in your name. Amen.
Hi everyone, my name is Steve and I am excited to get to kick off a new series with you guys called Like Me. It's a series on comparison, and I'm excited as we get to look at this idea of the dangers that can happen when we compare ourselves to others, especially in times like these where we are stuck at home with literally nothing to do, when 5 months ago we were also stuck at home with literally nothing to do. Quick show of hands, have you ever felt like life is just unfair? The most common phrase that I hear in my household is "that's not fair," constantly from my kids. Whether it be one of them playing the Nintendo more than the other, one of them getting a little more ice cream than the other, or whatever it may be. That is the most common phrase in my household. I can remember back in elementary school when I was always picked last when we'd go to play kickball, even though I thought I was the best out there. It just was not fair. At some point in your life, I think that you've probably gone through the same thing where you have felt like life has been unfair to you. Don't you hate it when things are unfair? For example, maybe you've studied really hard over the last couple weeks for this test coming up, but yeah, your friend who gets to go out and hang out all weekend gets to go and get a better grade than you simply because they had someone who gave them all the answers. Or maybe your siblings who kiss up to your parents get a lot more privileges than you get while you're stuck at home living in misery with nothing to do. I could go on and on and on. There's so many things. But this happens all the time. I can't tell you how many times I've been scrolling through Facebook or through Instagram, and you see people who get things that you don't get to get. Like, they got the newest Nike Airs, but you're stuck with your 5-year-old hand-me-down Adidas. Or maybe your friend gets to go out and go to the lake and have so much fun, but you're stuck at home because coronavirus has taken over and your parents won't let you out. Why don't I get to go? Why don't I get to do these things? Why don't I get to get into one of these top colleges? I'll tell you what, I can go from feeling on top of the world and feeling really good about myself to, in the flip of a switch, I feel like deflated. I feel like beat down. I feel like life is just simply unfair. In addition to feeling miserable, when we do this, we start to assume that other people have the perfect life that we wish that we could have. When we look at what they put online and then match it up to what our real life looks like, it just is not comparable. It is not true with our current reality. And when we do that, their life tends to look better than our life. They look better because they've probably taken 30 different pictures to get that perfect one to put online. Or we recognize this familiar thought, and that is that their life is greater than my life. And it's typical. The typical way that we respond to this kind of situations, there's a couple different ways. First, we might overachieve. Like maybe we think that we need to do so much more and to be so much better and do so many more things to become even close to how good that our friends are. Or maybe we do nothing. Maybe we sit there and we tell ourselves, I can never be as good as that person, so I am not even going to try. I'm not going to put any effort in. I'm just going to keep going through life as I've been going through life. Or maybe we play it over and over in our minds so much, whether it be anxiety, sadness, jealousy, depression, whatever it may be, that you find yourself thinking these things and they just overtake your mind. It feels bad. And that is what comparison does to you. Here's the tricky thing about comparison. When we're comparing ourselves to others, we know ourselves way too well. We know the good, we know the bad, we know the happy, we know the sad. And the thing about it is social media is designed to display the highlights of our lives. What I mean by that is this. Others will do, and you will do, everything to portray the best of you that you can portray. You're probably not going to post about that fight that you just got in with your boyfriend or girlfriend. You're probably not going to post that picture until you take it 30 times and get the right lighting, the right effects, and you look the best. Don't tell me that you haven't done that. Or you might make a post and have to rewrite it a bunch of different times until it sounds the funniest and you'll get the best reaction from your friends. We've all perfected the art of projecting the life that we want others to see. And here's what's crazy. We forget that everybody else is doing the same thing. They're posting their best in life. They're not posting everything. But somehow our mind tricks us to think that what we see on their Instagram feed is what their life is really like, and that it's greater and better than ours. Let me say it another way. When we compare ourselves to others, especially on social media, we believe things about ourselves based off someone else's half-truths or fake lives. Comparison has become such the norm in our everyday life that sometimes we don't even realize we're doing it. But the good news is this. What we're going to talk about for the next few minutes here will not only help us recognize when we're doing it, but it will also help us understand what to do about it when it comes to comparison. In a world full of social media, with so many different social media platforms out there, that may seem impossible. It may seem totally unrealistic. And I think what we might be surprised what is possible and what is reality. One of the greatest teachers that we have found in the Bible is a guy by the name of Paul. Paul was one of the guys that was so excited, and his main life mission was to connect you with Jesus and to connect you in a life-changing relationship with him. He planted churches all throughout the known world at that time. He planted churches in different cities. And he would plant a church, and then he'd move on to another place. He'd plant a church there, move on to another, and so forth and so on. Paul traveled a lot from town to town to town. And when he did this, there was only one way to communicate to the churches that he had planted, and that was through writing these letters that we know in the book of the Bible, like the one we're looking at today, called Corinthians. And when Paul wasn't present, this is what he would do. He would write these letters to stay connected. You could say it was his version of staying connected on Snapchat or Instagram. Paul's biggest thing was he was about love and he was about Christ. And in these letters, he was known for being direct, pretty direct with people. He was passionate about following Jesus and leading others to do the same. And while everything Paul did was out of love, some didn't take it that way. And it was likely that some people felt like they were being called out on the things that they just did not measure up to. So in response, they did the same thing that a lot of us would do. They lashed out at Paul, just like we probably do to our parents or our siblings. They lashed out, and they began to tear Paul down. Their strategy to feel better about themselves was by bringing him down, and that was just so petty. But listen to how Paul responded. This is how Paul responded in the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 10. He says, "Oh, don't worry. We wouldn't dare say that we are as wonderful as these other men who tell you how important they are. But they are only comparing themselves with each other, using themselves as a standard of measurement. How ignorant." I don't know how this came across for you, but for me, I'm seeing a lot of sarcasm in his writing right there. He clapped back at his critics. He went right back at him, and he was not messing around. In this passage, he's addressing the struggle. He's addressing the struggle that was created by the comparison that is going on amongst the people within the church. And Paul is saying pretty clearly that it's ridiculous to let your behavior and life be based on a comparison to someone else's behavior and life. Don't change your behavior simply because of someone else. Don't act different because of who they are. Be who you are. And don't base your value or your worth on what other people have to say or what other people think about you. It's even more ridiculous to spend time figuring out how you measure up to people just in order to make yourself look better. If we were to sum things up, Paul was saying, hey, look, comparing any human to another human is a bad idea, and it just makes you look silly. I can remember hearing as I was growing up that there is always someone who is better than you and always someone that is worse than you. There's always someone who has more and always someone who has less. And that's the same that goes for you. Comparing yourself to others is not a game that you're going to win, and it's pointless. There's a principle found in the book of Proverbs that we can apply to our lives today that was also applicable to the lives of these guys back then. And in the book of Proverbs, an Old Testament book, a time before Jesus was around roaming the earth, this is a verse that Paul would have known by heart, and here's what it says. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Solomon, the man who wrote this scripture, was passionate about how important it is to guard our hearts. Why do you think that is? Let me tell you, because everything we do flows from what's in our hearts. Our hearts matter because they control everything that we do in life, how we see each other, how we treat each other, how we respond to others. So we should guard our hearts. The opposite is true too. One of the quickest ways we can destroy our hearts is comparison, when we compare ourselves to others. If we see a post about how great someone else's life is, comparing it to how not great our life is, well, it could cause damage and hurt our hearts. What we allow to get into our heart can mess with us and make us think things that we shouldn't believe about ourselves. And that's a dangerous thing. It can make you feel less than or worthless. It's like an attack on our heart that can ultimately mess with our whole lives. And that's why we need to get this right. And the best advice I can give you is this: don't compare your worth with their posts. Don't look at someone else and assume that their life is perfect simply because of what they post online or the way that they are portraying themselves. And don't conclude that you are less than or you are no good because your life does not match up to what they're portraying. Don't make a decision about how you look simply because they have a picture that makes them look so good and you can't do the same. More than likely, they've taken 30 pictures, they've filtered it, they've face-tuned it, and they've edited it. Don't make decisions about your worth based on what you perceive about other people. This may sound like great advice, and it is, but how do we actually fight the temptation that allows comparison to rule our lives? How do we guard our hearts like Solomon advised us to do? It may not be easy, but it all starts with that very first word that Solomon used there: guard. Guard your heart. Set some boundaries in place for what you allow in to your heart. If something messes with you in such a way that it destroys how you feel, or it gets in your heart in a bad way that you pay attention to that instead of giving yourself a break, you probably got your guard down. Let me give you some examples of how you can guard your heart. Guard your Instagram. Guard your Snapchat, your TikTok. Guard your scrolling. Guard your thoughts when you're watching things like how many likes are rolling in or how many likes are not rolling in on your pictures. Guard your comments. Guard who you follow. Guard yourself when you interact with others that make you feel less than you are. In other words, when you find yourself in a situation, whether it be on social media or in real life, and you find yourself comparing yourself to others, guard yourself. Guard your heart. Pay attention. Something is trying to get into your heart and you need to set a boundary there. So much of this can be tough to notice in the moment. And that's why being on guard can be helpful. That's why being prepared to handle these situations will be helpful. Pay attention to what you feel when you're feeling yourself spiraling into the comparison game and learn how to deal with that. Maybe you find yourself overachieving and striving for the attention that others get simply because they're getting it and you want more approval. Maybe you find yourself feeling so deflated that you ever wonder, why do I even try? Why am I trying to compare myself and be good like others when I never will be? Or maybe you find yourself playing these images in your head over and over and over again. When those things happen, pay attention. That's your clue that you're stuck in this comparison game. So when that happens, ask yourself these 3 questions. What things are fueling how I feel? Second, what are some things that I want to do because of how I feel? And the third question is this: what or who am I comparing myself to that's bringing up these feelings? We guard our hearts by paying attention to what we feel when we're tempted to play the comparison game. And this may seem like a really big task. It may be unachievable on your own, and that might be true, which is why I recommend having someone in your life that could speak into your life. Whether it be your pastors, your small group leaders, your parents, a mentor, whoever it may be, someone that you trust that can speak into your life. That is why you have small group leaders here that love you and want to have the best for you. You aren't the only one who struggles with comparing your life to someone else's. But living a life where you feel less doesn't have to define who you are or how you feel. And it certainly does not need to define your worth. Remember, don't compare your worth to their posts. What would it look like if you began to guard your heart when it comes to comparing your life to others? Imagine being able to walk in confidence about who you are, a child of God, and imagine how different your day would be.
was a awesome message from Steve. Guard your heart. Man, there is a lot to talk about and unpacked from that message that we just heard. So, we are going to head into our next segment of Youth Night Live, which is called The After Show. This is when we get to hang out and chat about what we just heard. So we have a couple of questions that I'm going to ask with our studio guest, and I would encourage you guys to comment in the chat as well. So here is the first question that we're going to talk about tonight, and that's this. What percentage of pictures on social do you think are edited? So when you scroll through Instagram or TikTok, what percentage of what you're seeing is edited, filtered, face-tuned, cropped, glamorized, whatever it is? So put your percentage into the chat now. I'm going to say what my guess is at the end, and we are going to give it over to our studio guests so we can hear their point of view as well. Let's start with Ellie. Ellie, what percentage of pics on social do you think are edited?
At least 90%.
At least, that's a strong number. At least 90%. Okay, Madison, what percentage of pics on social do you think are edited?
I'd say at least 75% of pictures on social media are edited.
At least 75%. That's a really solid number. I think that 93% of pics on social are edited. Also, fun fact, when a picture says #NoFilter, it always has a filter. I'm just going to say it. I don't believe you. I know that your picture did not turn out that good when you say #NoFilter. But hey, that just goes to show that when we post anything on social media, even if it's a silly snap or whatever it is, like Steve said, we want to present the best of our lives. And the problem is, when all we see on social is the best of everyone's life, we think that we compare that to our regular or even worse days. It gives us a false sense of what life should be like. And we're simply comparing our real life to someone else's edited or fake life. That's where the comparison trap gets us. So, all right, we're going to head on to our second question, which is this. What's the difference between comparison and looking up to someone? Because here's the thing. You may think that, well, hey, I follow a lot of accounts online, but I'm just doing it because of, there's someone I like to follow, someone, I like their aesthetic, I like the pictures they're posting, or they are in a hobby that I really like. So go ahead and in the chat right now, what is the difference between comparison and looking up to someone? I think this question really gets to the heart of what actually is comparison. We're going to send it over to our guests, starting with Ellie. What do you think?
I think jealousy is the biggest difference. Because, if you follow somebody just because you like what they're doing or, you like their feed or whatever, you just like it instead of being like, oh, I need to be like that and change everything about you to make yourself that way.
That is a really good comment. That jealousy, kind of the defining difference there. Great stuff. Heading over to Madison. What's the difference between comparison and looking up to someone?
I would say that comparison is usually between you and one of your peers or classmates or teammates, and that you try and build yourself up even if you take them down in that that's comparison. But looking up to someone would be either someone older or someone who you want to be someday, but it's not currently right now.
That is a really great definition between the difference. Throwing my 2 cents in, I think that the reason we would know that we're comparing versus looking up to is if there is someone that you're following online for inspiration, it should be that. You should be inspired. You should be encouraged. It should want to make you reach higher and do better. But when we fall into the comparison trap, we start to think less of ourselves. We start to devalue our own worth and puts us into really negative thought patterns. So I think that we know when we are struggling in comparison, when every time that we see a post from a certain person or feed, that it makes us, like Ellie said, jealous, or just makes us feel like we are less than. Which, again, little shout to you, there are follow buttons and there are unfollow buttons. You can use both of them. Maybe to unfollow someone this week. Okay, our last question. This is the big one. This one is the real question. I encourage you guys just to be honest and open with this one. And I'm going to go first with this question. And the question is this. What's one area you can guard your heart better? Steve talked about the importance of guarding our heart, and we saw from the Bible, the book of Proverbs, the importance of guarding the things that we see, especially online. And here is where I can do a better job of guarding my heart. So I'm a youth pastor. I follow lots of other youth pastors. I'm in youth pastor groups and chats who pastor all over the U.S. And there are states that are not Oregon where youth groups are getting back together with no limitations or restrictions, and they're going off to camps or having big events. And I'm telling you, when I see those pictures, I get jealous, I get envious, I even get angry, can feel depressed, and I even am tempted to base myself and the work we're doing here off of what people are doing across the nation. So I need to guard my heart better by not comparing what's happening in Oregon and in Eugene with what's happening other places in the U.S. or the world that have absolutely no control over, and not becoming envious or jealous of other people. So that's a little insight into my life. So, okay, encourage you guys to be bold and honest, and in the comment section, just share, if you'd like to, what's one area where you can guard your heart better. Maybe it could just be a few words or even a few sentences. We are going to give it over one last time to our studio guest, Ellie.
Oh golly. I think for me, it's like I just need to remember that when other people are hanging out with their friends and like are in big groups, to not take it personally that I wasn't invited, and just like know that like other people still care about me even if I'm not going out with friends.
That is great. Thank you so much for your open and honest talk. I know it's always tough when, you see a group of friends hanging out. You're like, hey, I'm not there. What's wrong with me? So, all right, thanks, Ellie. Same question over to Madison.
I would say that one area of my life that I can guard my heart better is knowing that everything on social media has been edited or changed, or you're only seeing the best that everybody wants you to see rather than seeing all of your fails or bloopers or anything like that. You're only seeing their highlight reel. So just knowing your own worth isn't dictated by someone else's pictures or Instagram.
That is a fantastic reminder of just our bottom line tonight, which is that your worth isn't compared to their post. Hey guys, make sure that you are guarding your heart this week. Don't fall into the comparison trap. Know that your value, your worth, and your identity is based on one thing and one thing alone, is that you are made by God, that you are loved by God, that you are his child and his masterpiece and his creation. And there is nothing that could ever take that away. So, be the you that God created you to be. Let other people be the people that God created them to be. Guard your own heart. Don't fall into the comparison game online. And that is our content for the night. We have another awesome message coming up next week in Youth Night Live in our Like Me series. That's actually by our very own Madison. So you guys are going to enjoy that. We have one last thing before we sign off, and that is to pick winners for our giveaway. So throughout the night, I asked you guys to throw in which NBA team that you thought was going to win. We had a couple of late submissions that I definitely have to read off because they were hilarious. We have another for the Lakers. But we also had, oh man, I can't read it. It happens. All right, my iPad broke. So, okay, we had some really great comments. I say Trailblazers, not because I really think it's going to happen, but love the Blazers. So, all the way, baby. Beat LA. So we are going to pick a name from everyone who commented to win a gift card. So let's draw that name. We put all of you guys into a computer that's going to randomly pick a name. And when our tech team stops, Zadie, congratulations! You are our winner. You did not actually put an NBA team that exists, but you still won. Congratulations. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning into Youth Night Live. It's been a great night. Hope you guys have a fantastic week and rest of your night. I love you guys. Miss you so much. Can't wait until we see each other again. Signing off for Youth Night Live. Bye, buddies.